Welcome to episode 64 of TerrorVision Horror Podcast, the Spoilercast version. I'm one of your hosts, Dan McGuinness, and joining me on my Midnight Meat Train is my co-host, Jennifer the Dream Warrior Strand. Toot toot. Yes, each fortnight, Jennifer and I set ourselves a horror movie to watch, and then we go through it scene by scene the next fortnight and spoil the fuck out of it. Yeah. Anyhow, we spoil it. We go through it.
We go deep.
Yeah.
Nice and deep like.
It is. It's a deep dive into glorious gore, hard edits, cheesy acting, directing madness, severed wangs, and compound fractures. Together we are two people with a love of horror and feel the burn of our obsolete blockbuster memberships. But we'd also just like to thank all the people that support us over on our socials and stuff like that. And also the people that listen to us. Over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and the YouTube. Thank you very much. And we'd like to shout out to people that, interact with us. People like Kevin Patterson, Adam Gillespie, David Kudrev, Ian Chapman, people like that. Thank you very much for... just commenting, moving along the old TerrorVision train. Doobie-doo. Doobie-doo. As I said, we watch a film each week, and we have a rating system, so you're just not left there, with your dick in your hand.
No dicks in hand.
Spider webs hanging off of it.
Yeah, no dicks in hand here. We are fully dicks in pants. Thank you very much. So, for those of you playing at home, our rating system goes a little something like this. A is awesome, everybody should watch. B is our beer and chicken wing group movie. F is fun and dumb. C is a classic that's worth a watch. U is underrated. O, an overrated motherfucker. G, good for its time. It is not held up. J, Jen special. D, Dan special. W, whatever. We've got the Kesha low budget hot mess. C minus, craft is stellar, but I hate the content. And the McConaughey. The fucking fucked. The McConaughey. We watched it. You really don't have to.
And so this week we watched, I didn't even know straight away what this film's called because it just seems to have two names.
So the UK release, and I think the US... There are two names, the Truth About Demons or the Irrefutable Truth About Demons. So I think one was a UK release and one was like a worldwide release.
Because when I originally saw this in 2000, it was just called The Truth About Demons.
That's the one I remember.
The word irrefutable in a title, bold move.
Yeah, that's fancy.
Yeah, like why? Yeah. Did they feel that like people didn't understand that it was the actual truth about demons?
Like it's not just, it's the truth. This is the irrefutable truth.
Oh, man.
So it's written and directed by Glenn Standring, who I had a quick search about him and he's really not done too much since. I think he did some kind of TV show that no one really cared about. Of course, it stars a very young Carl Urban, fresh off of his stint in Xena, as my girlfriend politely put it. So,
oh, really? Was he in Xena?
He was in Xena, apparently.
Carl Urban's always great. Like,
he is.
He's in Star Trek as that guy. He's in The Boys as
that
Butcher.
other guy.
Yeah, he's always that guy.
He's that guy.
And when he supports, when he's very chiseled, but he doesn't have a big face. So, he does
has
need
a baby face and a weak chin.
He has a weak chin. But,
but a beard suits him.
Yeah.
He's a man that needs a beard.
He needs a beard.
Yeah.
Carl Urban. Yeah, he's in everything.
And this is before he sounds like Carl Urban.
Carl Urban.
So this is Carl Urban, Judge Dredd. He is also Butcher and the Boys. This is Carl Urban in 2000 when he's teeny tiny. He's a little Carl Urban.
This is, as I've called him, Dreamboat Urban. But he, Keep going.
Anyway, also stars Katie Wolf, who she's not really gone on to do too much more, but I could not find any information about this film, so I couldn't find any budget.
It's because it's the truth, and that it's hidden. It's covered up.
Yeah,
even though you can just hire the film.
So there was no information about this film. I've got no budget, no box office return. I've got no interesting facts to tell you.
Might be straight to video.
It was straight to DVD and DVD, VHS, and anytime I Googled anything, all I got was many shirtless pictures of Carl Urban.
Which is not a bad thing. Yeah. I'm surprised you just didn't, just stop working and just put them as your Windows desktop background.
Oh, I did. Nothing but Carl. All right. Hell is real.
Oh, what a tagline.
I know, it's great. It's the truth, too.
It's irrefutably the truth.
It's irrefutably. In the place between what you know and what you fear, demons rule. All hope is stripped away as demonic forces overcome you. Dr. Harry Ballard has just unearthed the essence of evil. He's a marked man, a living sacrifice thrown to the depths of the demon world. At his side is a beautiful young woman, an ex-cult member who's experienced their immeasurable power.
That's
the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, that's a massive little synopsis. Usually it's just like, if I was going to do it, it'd be like, Dr. Harry gets chased by a bunch of dickheads.
This synopsis, as always, I don't write the synopsis. Don't know if you figured that one out. I pulled that from Letterboxd. So I always pull the synoppo from Letterboxd. But the IMDb one is literally like half a sentence. I can't even remember what it was, but it's like...
Carl Urban's in this.
Pretty much exactly what you said. Carl Urban chased by a bunch of dickheads.
Okay, so the film. It opens to some back rooms of like... At first, I thought it was a medical center because we've got like bodies in jars.
There's a lot of oddities. So it's a lot of oddities in there. And honestly, it looks like a cold opener for a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode.
Yeah.
Like if I'm sort of...
There's things in jars. There's some skeletons. And then you realize, we're in the kind of the back room of a museum, or some sort of archives or something like that. It's shot well. It looks great. It's like, we've got some scary music. We're not going to bother to it. It's just like some
weird heavy breathing as well.
It's like
so this movie's set in the 2000s. So just think about what kind of weird rave music was around in the 2000s. And just
made in the 2000s, set in the 2000s,
oh my God.
Stayed in the 2000s.
Oh, it did.
We have the title come up, The Irrefutable Truth About Demons. And we've already gone into why. So... It's weird because you hire the movie and it says the truth about demons on the front, but then it has the irrefutable truth about demons on the inside. You're like, huh?
Yeah.
And now we've gone it.
Yep.
And now we get open to our new character, our main character, Dreamboat Carl Urban.
Yeah.
He's doing some late night work.
He's sketching an artifact. And then we get this really nice little throwback comment to Night of the Living Dead where he's like, they're coming to get you, Harry, because he can hear something happening in the background. And...
He's looking around. There's a whole bunch of there's kind of like the Evil Dead POV monster is like lurking in the shelves, like
pretty much
looking around the shelves, and you're like, Evil Dead.
He's in trouble.
He's an Evil Dead monster.
But of course, we get this POV shot, quickly walk around the other way, comes back around to scare him,
and the POV shot attacks him, as POV shots, and like, surprise, it's not a monster, it's a dude in a mask who is his wacky, what is it like?
Stoner,
poor. So imagine just
like the intern.
Yeah, he's the intern. He's poor man's Corey Feldman.
He really is, yes.
So imagine Corey Feldman, but shitter. But he's like the token stoner dude. He's like, yo, man, look at this. I'm like, how did you get a job working in a museum? Yeah,
well, now he's just Carl Urban's dealer. It's fine. They have this very brief little interaction. So apparently they have a prank wars going on between him. And he's like, nah, I'm not scared. That's just my face.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to mention this is like massively set in New Zealand.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And so it is hard New Zealand accents, and I love a New Zealand accent. I've always said that.
Yes.
It's almost like everything they say, they know how awesome their accent is, and they really emphasize it.
Yes.
And it just took me straight back to Brain Dead, and actually more Bad Taste.
They weren't as thick and as prominent.
They were
so it was still pretty, it's still pretty.
They still use a lot of the colloquialisms of like New Zealanders do and stuff like that. So I liked that kind of thing. So we got the full New Zealand accent, which just always makes it into a comedy movie straight away.
Yeah, very much so.
And anyhow, Carl, his name's Carl. His real name's Harry, but we're just going to call him Carl.
Yeah,
Urban.
I call him Carl Urban the whole way through.
Carl, poor man's Corey gives Carl a package, and he's like, "Here's a package for you, mate." And all of a sudden, the package is bleeding.
It's just dripping blood.
And I'm like, all right.
It's like, oh, this must be another gag.
Yeah,
He opens it up. It's a VHS, and on it says, "Beware, a Black Lodge is after you." And then he explains what a Black Lodge is. So it's like a cult within the community.
Is that a real thing? Like, as in, they've just used that?
Yeah, probably. I don't know too much about cults in that.
You know, they whack it on.
Regards?
They whack the VHS and the old JVC VCR and put it on, and it's just a TED Talk, basically.
It is, and it is a guy that you said looked like a character from Steeple.
Steeple, the comic book, done by John Allison, who created Giant Days.
Yes, I've not read that one, but now that you've been talking to me about it
Now
this morning, I'm like,
Satanism in
I
it.
kind of really want to. Yeah, you know me, I like Satanism.
It's funny as well. It's John Allison.
But of course, it is a very good likeness to Anton LaVey, who is the author of the Satanic Bible and the founder of the Church of Satan.
And if you don't know who he looks like, just imagine a bald man, a thin bald man that has a goatee.
He almost looks like Fu Manchu without the Fu Manchu mustache.
Without the chew.
Yeah, no chew.
No chew. And he's doing a TED Talk
He's
to a whole bunch of
preaching
demon worshippers. It's like it's supposed to be he's like monologuing to his followers, but like it fully just looks like when it opens up, he's like kind of walking back and forward.
Yeah.
And like, hey, I'm here to talk to you about Satanism. Satan. He's a cool dude.
He is.
And he
gets
monologues.
the youth of today.
And that's it, really. He mentions. Oh no, and he mentions Carl.
He does. He mentions because Carl is well known. He has his doctorate. He does whatever he does in the museum. But in his downtime, he researches cults and he debunks them for the frauds that they are. So of course, Anton LaVey is basically just saying that we are going to show him the power of the Dark Lord. So we're going to come get him.
You call him Anton. I call him Mr. Satanist.
You do. I kind of like Mr. Satan better. Okay, so I shall now be referring to him as Mr. Satan.
Well, he's the main Satan man.
He is.
And yeah, on the tape, that they all go like, you know, being the detectives they are, Carl and poor man's Corey, they're like, oh, look, the date on it, it's a year old.
Oh,
Why are they sending it to you now? I don't know. And then you're like, oh, so they've been at it for a year, have they?
Uh-huh.
And now, they fucking don't care. Carl goes home. He gets in the elevator. Elevator has gremlins. We hear all these little like...
It's like thumping and like...
Yeah, they're clearly not people because like they're little sounds of like scurrying. You know, the elevator shakes. It's like the lights flicker. Carl just looks around going...
Oh, that's peculiar.
Well, elevator's shit.
Of course, it opens and we get introduced to a crackhead girl in a weird, very 2000s fluffy jacket, jumps out on top of him.
Blue makeup.
Yeah, she's got her blue eyeshadow covering
him.
most of her face. It's all over her face.
If you know, she just looks like the singer of Four Non-Blondes.
Yes.
I wrote two Non-Blondes in here.
Well, that's all right. Maybe two left.
Four Non-Blondes, if you remember her. 'Cause I cry. Oh my God, you cry.
And I cried in this film. Her name is Benny, and she is absolutely a delight. But she asks him, she's erratic, she's all over the place. There's clearly she's a little bit unhinged.
She's a bit Harley Quinn.
She's a little bit Harley Quinn.
The new modern day Harley Quinn, the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn.
Very much so. And she's just like, did you get the tape? Did you get the tape I sent you? Did you get that thing I sent you?
Did you get that thing? And he's like, did you fucking send me that tape?
And she's like, I'm just trying to protect you. And she's like, look, she relays that there's something bad coming for him. She's here to protect him. She offers him, like, here is some protection for your dark sorcery, but you've got to keep it close to your penis.
She says, your penis. And she shoves a note down his pants, which just says, like...
It's like, I am hot or something.
Yeah, well, I don't get that.
And he's like, uh-huh.
And then she runs off or some shit.
She fucks off, and he walks out of the building, and he's like... Oh, yeah, nice prank, Corey, because he thinks it's poor man's Corey trying to get him back for the prank that he's just pulled on him.
Then he gets a call from his wuzzer.
Oh, yeah.
His wuzzer, and he's like, you going to meet me at dinner? 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock dinner. I've been stuck in court. She's not in court she's not, been smoking durries and hitting people with her car. She is a lawyer. She's a fancy lawyer.
We also forgot to mention that before Carl finishes work, he
he does.
sucks on a doobie.
He does. It takes a minute to smoke half a joint and reminisce about a picture.
Yeah.
On his desk.
So he's smoking the devil's lettuce.
He is.
What a
cockhead. What a turkey.
Oh, you know where that leads you to? Satanism.
It does. Satanism and heroin.
And he gets to his car. He's like, yeah, I'll be at dinner, love, I'll be at dinner. And she's like, we cut to her, she's like a blonde lady. I just called her the girlfriend.
Yes, the girlfriend.
The lawyer girlfriend.
He gets to his car, but unfortunately someone has super glued over the lock.
I was like, I saw that bit and I was like, that's a genius idea to fuck someone over, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So they just fill your your bloody lock
with
super
glue.
on
Yeah,
your car.
cover
'Cause
the whole thing.
you can just push a super glue thing into the thing, and that's like, and I'm like, oh man, I'm surprised that's not a thing.
I think that's why obviously we've got electronic locks, but I think that's kind of now why they've got the button.
Maybe it was an American thing that I never knew about, but I'd never seen that in anything.
Possibly. I don't know.
I've never heard of it happening in anyone yet.
So he's investigating that the small super glue bottle on the floor and the super
He's
glue
like,
that is in his lock.
Who the fuck glued me lock?
Some bastard.
He's like, hang on, glue on the ground, glue in the lock. I think
Now, I'm no doctor. Oh, wait, I am.
I'm a doctor.
But I'm a doctor.
I've got a PhD in glueology.
These things
I
are
connect.
somehow related by Satanism.
Anyway, suddenly the singer of Right Said Fred rocks up behind him. A chained up version. Not chained. He's got a whole bunch of piercings.
He's got piercings. He's got a big old sigil on his chest. He's got the middle of his
Septum?
nose. Thank you, septum piercing, but it's so big that it looks like he's a fucking bull on a chain.
Yeah. So
He rocks up.
he rocks up. Some other goons rock up, and they hit Carl with a 2x4. Knock him right out, eh?
They do.
He's out for the count. He's seeing stars. He's counting sheep.
Yep. So the dude that blindsided him was he's dressed in pleather. Couldn't afford leather, mind you. He's also got some chains. He looks like he's about to go down to Old Switch down on Hindley Street. He's got bright red hair, but just looks really out of place. And they load him up into the back of the truck with pink.
With pink.
With pink.
As in the lady.
The lady.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now Carl, they take him to a warehouse, which is full of like mid-90s Prodigy fans.
Yes,
basically.
This is very industrial. Like by day it's for torture, and by night it's a dance club.
Yeah. So basically, it's like a big warehouse. It's dirty. It's dark. It's dimly lit. There's a whole bunch of like shit going on and other, dastardly things.
Yeah.
So this is a big organization of Prodigy fans. Mm-hmm. So this is what the demon worshippers look like. So if you can imagine, they're in pleather. They have piercings. Everything they wear is tight. They've got tattoos all over them.
This is so 2000s.
They wear furry boots.
This is the 2000s that everyone wants to forget.
Yeah, isn't it? It's like, yeah, they're like fucking poor man's Matrix characters.
Yes, very much so. Yes.
They take him there. They ditch him into a room. They chain him up, and they steal one of his sleeves. Did you notice that?
I did not notice
Like
that.
they drag him into a room, put him down, chain him up. Leave, and then the next time we see Carl, because he's got a long sleeve shirt on, one of his sleeves is missing, and I'm
I didn't
why
even
did they
notice.
take that?
I don't know. There's a lot of long sleeved shirts here, but they're very fitted. He wakes up on the floor, bleeding from his head. He's still chained to the ground. He gets up. He tries to run away, but is immediately yoinked back.
Oh, they also inject him.
Oh yeah, they do.
Which is kind of scary. There's a lot of fear in this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, these fucking douchebags, they get a big comical syringe.
Oh, it's big.
And they inject something into his neck, and that's why he kind of passes out and wakes up, kind of thing. And he's chained to the ground by a giant dog collar to a bolt in the wooden floor.
In the very flimsy wooden floor.
Well, it is basically a shearing shed.
Pretty much, yeah. So he wakes up, he gets up, he falls back down because he forgets that he's chained up, and then he basically just rips the chain out of the floor.
He escapes out through the floor.
Yep, and then Tweedledee and Tweedledumbass, who I've referred to as the two henchmen, they open the door, see that he's escaped, and we now see him crawling under the floorboards, trying to find a way out.
And he just they go ham on a chainsaw. As in you see this
there.
Yeah, you see this chainsaw chainsawing into the floor, but they never cut a hole for them to jump down in.
No, so dickhead...
Or number one, just follow him into the hole he went into.
Very much so. Well, the Tweedledumbass with the red hair, he clearly could not fit in that little teeny hole that Carl Urban fit in. But he stuck his head in. He saw where Carl was going, but then decided, look, I'm going to chainsaw over here.
Yeah.
Instead.
So it's just a scene to create tension. Anyway, Carl gets away. He runs down the road. He runs into a streetwalker, a lady of the night, asks for directions. There's a whole bunch of because he's all bleeding, a whole bunch of really problematic stereotypical things that, every streetwalker is just like, ooh, hello.
Yeah.
Even though you're bleeding everywhere and you've got a giant chain around your neck and you're clearly fucked up, let's have a night.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
It's like, you're fucked up. Would you like to get more fucked up?
Anyhow, Carl suddenly realises he's late to dinner for his wife.
He does.
Oh, fuck, I tell you, the clock, I haven't got to the dinner and I'm all chained
So
up and he's got no shirt on as well.
No, he's lost his shirt.
He's lost his shirt.
That's gone. So he rocks up to this restaurant. He is wet. He's bloodied. He's chained up. He's dirty. He's bruised. He's battered. And he just casually walks into the restaurant.
And it's like a high-end restaurant. So you know, one of the ones where there's like a...
There's a maitre d' at the front. And he's
going,
like,
excuse me,
sir, you can't, sir, you can't. He's being so polite about it. And he just walks.
He walks past and he sees his girlfriend. She's like, oh my God. And then he faints.
But she doesn't seem overly phased. She's basically just like...
She's more surprised that he's there.
Yeah, it's like, you're on time.
Anyhow, he goes to the hospital.
Yep.
Well, it fades out. Scene ends. Mm-hmm. Who knows what happens? He wakes up. He's in hospital. There's a bunch of cops there. The most fucking cool budget-looking New Zealander cops in the world. Like, they're fully got you imagine what a New Zealand cop is. One's like a mid-aged lady.
Yep, in a pantsuit.
And the other one is like a kind of comb-over thin man.
Yeah.
Like he's a gross dude. He doesn't have a relationship. He looks
like he hangs around at schools.
Yeah.
With
and
no kids.
And instead of like, so they're like, yeah, you got like, they should be helping him. He's been kidnapped. He's been beaten up. They say to him, we worked it out, you've been injected with heroin. But they just get all in his fucking face and like, but we also found some THC in your body that you smoked one puff of a joint. Therefore, you're the cunt.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they do. But they start talking to him about his brother. So obviously his brother was the guy in the picture from when he was smoking his joint. His brother had died 6 months ago. I think he committed suicide. And they're basically like, this is just residual silliness from your brother dying. You're just being silly.
Yeah.
And they basically just fob him off.
That is not help him at all. They basically blame him for getting kidnapped.
Yeah. Because they don't think he's been kidnapped. They just think he's, gone out and had a bit of a drug bender and, didn't recover properly.
Yeah. Even though he's clearly been chained up and clearly got beaten up.
Yeah. You wouldn't do that to yourself.
And now, he goes home.
Yep.
They're like, yeah, you can go home now.
Benny's
Carl
outside.
and the girlfriend, they go inside. But just before they go inside, we see 4 non-blondes outside with a sparkler.
She got a sparkler. She's just playing. And then she's like standing there waiting. And then she sees him see her. And then she's like, oh.
Yeah, I know. You know those
sparkler.
things like when you're trying to scope someone out and they look at you and you make out you're looking at something else. She just has a sparkler.
Yeah. She's like, I am playing with my sparkler.
And now Carl just kind of looks at her and goes, okay, same woman. Doesn't matter. Go inside.
He goes inside and he is straight into research mode.
And then his girlfriend is like, you're fucking obsessed, mate. If you got to calm down or you'll make yourself sick, you're going to like fuck up. So she basically just gets, just tells him that he's too obsessed. But up until this point in the film, we haven't really seen him be that obsessed.
No. So he's deep
His
in the
work
research
is to
now.
research cults. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's right. So he starts talking to her about the sigil. He's been going through books trying to find this sigil, which was the symbol that was tattooed on the chest of the dickhead that kidnapped him. He's like, this was in a notebook, like my brother wrote it, and he's like, maybe my brother was in the cult because they knew him, they were talking about him.
If he thinks his brother was killed by a cult.
Yeah.
Instead of committing suicide. And he goes, that was the same sigil, so he must have been in this cult. Anyway, he decides to have a ciggy in a bath. Mm-hmm.
Smokes a joint in a bath, which
is it a joint?
Yeah,
he hasn't learned his lesson at all, has he?
Hasn't.
I thought it was a ciggy.
No.
He puts a flannel on his face, and lo and behold, we see some blood drips on his face.
I liked this scene.
Yeah, so did I.
This was good.
I actually think that the next half an hour of this film is really cool. Mm-hmm. So, and then he takes the he goes, what's this fucking shit on my face? He takes the flannel off, the face washer, and lo and behold, there's a bunch of Satanists in there. And they have his girlfriend, and they've cut her throat, and they're dripping her fucking blood, her neck blood, into his face.
Yes, and then
they throw her onto him.
Oh, this. I'm like, this was fucking good.
We also have to mention this is my fever dream, my fever movie that I watched when I was in 2000s. I caught a fever really bad, and I was shaky, delirious. And this is a film I watched, and it scared the absolute shit out of me. So he's already feeling a bit rough, and now they hold his face underwater. We get a shot underwater. He's like, and he dies.
He does.
And then all of a sudden,
he doesn't.
He wakes up out of the bath. It was all a dream.
Yep. So
or was it?
Well, who fucking knows? Because he starts walking around his house, wet and shirtless.
Wet and shiny.
With a candle.
Yeah, I was
Because
like...
the lights are out, so he gets a candle.
See, I didn't notice the lights are out, and I just thought, does he just always walk around with a candle and glistening?
Yeah, that's just Carl Urban in his natural habitat.
Oh.
Yeah. So he walks into his office. We see there's blood all over the floor.
He's kind of like an Enya film clip. He's walking. It's him walking around with a candle glistening, and you're just ready for like do 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 do. You know that like Enya. Sha Jim Wan, go urban with a candle, and it doesn't matter.
Very much so, yes.
And that he walks into his living room, and lo and behold, his wife is barbed wired. Up on the wall in a Jesus pose.
Yeah, she's like strung from the balcony.
She's crucified from the indoor, the mezzanine.
Yep.
Barbed wire wrapped around her. She's dead.
Yep.
And then a bit written on the wall with her blood is basically, "Hi, I'm Carl Urban, and I did this."
Very much so. And he's just kind of looks around, and immediately the sirens rock up. The cops start bashing on the door. They're like...
No, the real note was like, she was a demon. Signed... Doctor.
Yeah, I killed this demon. Signed Harry.
Who actually wrote his name on it?
He did.
He's been framed.
He is being framed.
They're fucking him up. I think we also they realize the Four Non Blonde. She mentioned that they're gonna like torment him.
Yeah.
So and like until like he gets fucked over. So the tormention.
The tormentions has begun.
The tormentions. The formerly mentions tormentations.
That's right. So rather than, standing and waiting for the cops and being like, I didn't do this, like, this isn't my handwriting, and this isn't, he makes a break for it out the back and heads to a local roach motel.
I just thought he checks into the Fight Club house.
Very much
like,
so.
basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's still wet. He's still shirtless and shiny at this point as well. It's not been raining.
He's just got a pair of like bloody downpipe jeans on.
Very much. And you look around this roach motel, and if he didn't have Hep C before, he certainly does now.
He just goes to bed. He calls poor man Corey, and he comes to the hotel, and he's like, "Come here, mate. I need a jacket." Basically, he steals poor man Corey's jacket.
Yep.
And
we basically just sort of gives the we get this weird
scene.
like fucking scene.
So someone starts banging above him like on the floor before, and then they're going out at the floor. He's like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is all I need, mate. And then all of a sudden he starts getting 2 poundy. It sounds like someone's getting murdered. The wall fucking starts shaking. His head starts ringing. He yells, and then pop, it's all fine.
It's done.
It's another one of the fucking Satanist illusions, mate.
That's right, because Corey rocks up, and of course he gives him the lowdown. He's like, my wife's dead. She's been killed. It's the cult people that sent me the tape. And he's like, no one's going to believe me. Like, they think that
Corey's
he's like, it's a conspiracy.
Oh, mate, we're in a conspiracy. Smoke a doom.
Yeah, the cops are probably in on it.
The cops are in on it, mate.
So he's like...
That's not even us exaggerating how he speaks.
No, he's channeling Keanu Reeves.
He's channeling Jason Mewes.
Yeah.
There's a bit of that in there.
Oh, yes.
He does have long hair. Black hair, which I think is dyed. Because it's... you know that black that you're just like, that's too black.
That's not natural.
That's too black, poor man's Corey.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyhow, poor man's Corey, he goes to him, go out, get your car, come around the front, and I'll fucking jump in. I don't know why they just didn't leave together.
No, I don't know.
And I know why, it's because they needed this scene. Poor man Corey goes out, and guess what? Someone super glued his lock.
Yeah, he didn't put 2 and 2 together, though. Because
and then he's eaten by a hellbeast.
And it's an off-screen kill.
That was my quote, from Garth Marenghi's Start Place, and then a hellbeast. He reads that quote from his book, it's like the sex scene.
Yeah.
And then the last sentence is, and then they were eaten by a hellbeast. Anyhow, so he gets... But we do see some, hellbeast CG arms come in and grab Corey and pull him out of shot, because the beast didn't want us to see. So they had to pull him out of shot.
That's right. And he got this blood splatter on the car.
We do see it for a second. It kind of looks like someone with no skin. It looks like someone's returned from hell from Hellraiser.
Yeah, very much.
But with elongated arms to make it not human or some shit. It's a CG mess.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
And Carl decides to come out.
Yeah, he's sick of waiting. He's like, it's been 5 minutes, damn it.
It's been 1 minute. Where are you, Corey?
So he goes out, and instead he finds his dead body.
And he follows a blood trail around. He finds Corey. Poor man's Corey there with his chest ripped open.
Yep.
We see some ribs, which is... He kind of taps him and you can see the ribs moving as if it's like one of those fucking just chest
It
plates
is,
that they
because
wore.
you look at it closely and he's like, the way he's sitting and the chest piece is kind of like sitting up and out.
Yeah, because his
So
ribs
it's
are
like,
further out than they should be.
Didn't even try.
Poor man's Corey.
He's covered in roaches.
They're like, it's poor man's Corey. Yeah, he's got roaches all over him as well already.
He hears a bunch of chanting coming from behind, and of course it is Mr. Satan.
And Mr. Satan just gives him shit.
He does.
And he goes like, you're a dickhead, mate. All your friends are dead. I'm Mr. Satan. I'm going to come and fuck you up. I'm going to, I'm going to play with your dick for a while, and then I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm going to take your soul.
That is basically
And then he's like-
word for word in the
And then
script.
like Carl's like, you know what, cunt? He's got a 2x4.
He's got a 2x4 as
from
well.
somewhere.
There's
Like,
always 2x4s laying around.
It is New Zealand.
Plentiful.
They've got a lot of forestries. So he picks up a 2x4 and he's like, you know what, cunt? I'm going to smash your head in, eh? And and then he's like, and then Mr. Satan's like, or I could show you a demon.
Yeah.
And from out of the shadows, we see from behind Mr. Satan we see a CG mess of this demon kind of walking out of smoke. It's a real CG mess. And this is like 2 years after Jurassic Park. You got no excuses, mate.
Well, Jurassic Park was 93. This was 2000.
Oh, it was only 3. I thought it was 98.
So this is...
8 years.
The Matrix came out in, what, 99?
Yeah, this is
So this is the year after The Matrix. So think of all the good stuff they did in The Matrix, and then there's this.
And Carl just fucks off.
He does. He's just like, no.
Demon. And then he runs into 4 non-blondes, and she talks some rubbish at him. Like, so she's just gibberish. She's like,
Yeah, she's just like, I'm here to help you. Let me help you. And then they run off together, and they end up having to wait for a bus.
And this is like how she proves she's legit, because she's like, the bus is coming, and then it comes around the corner. I went, what? So you predicted a bus was going to come to a bus stop?
But it was on time, so, the buses are never on time.
You can just read the bus thing. Anyhow.
Of course, Mr. Satan pops out from around the corner, and Carl sort of stares him down, and she's like, you got to get on the bus. We've got to go. She notices Mr. Satan. She's like, sort it out later.
Yeah,
she's like, we'll get you, you fuckhole.
Yeah,
like,
you fucko, we'll get you. Like, so she's a great character.
I love her.
She's okay. So we go to her house, and then her house is all decked. She's in like a full scum hole. Like it's a full, low socioeconomic drug den, roach pit like building.
And she has a lot of candles burning, and she's left them unattended. That's just not okay.
Yeah, and her whole room is decked out, with like sigils, photos, candles, bits of, trees hanging in her, and then you realise she's an urban witch.
Yeah.
She is a modern day in commas, urban witch. So I'm like, oh yeah, cool. So she's the expert. This is our expert in this film.
Yes. So she explains to him that she's be like, I knew they'd come for you tonight. And he's like, why? And she's like, because it's the longest night.
It's a solstice.
You dickhead.
She's yelling, it's a solstice into his face. And now
So
Carl has a rash.
Yep. She's like, one of the first things that they'll do is they'll mark you. So she basically just starts straddling him, takes off his jacket.
She also takes her gear off, and she's wearing
him.
an early 90s clear raving corset.
Yes. So she's basically got nothing on. She's got some stuff hiding her titties. That's fine. And then she's
like bra pads.
Yeah,
and then
it's like
glad wrap around it.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So she starts checking his body for a rash, and she's like, here it is. It's starting.
It's an upside down cross.
Yep.
And he's like, and then Carl zonks. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm tired.
He really does. Like, she's there, like, touching him, and she's like squeezing his nipples and shit. Weird.
She's getting all like fizzy with him, physical.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like Carl just like, yeah, I'm heaps sleepy now. Good night.
Yeah, and I'm done.
And then he has a dream, of course.
Yes, he wakes up and he sees someone in the corner carving something on the wood.
Says help. It's Carl's dead brother.
Yep.
And he's like, let me rest.
He's like, I can't, they won't let me rest. I need you. You got to go. You got to help me. And Carl just wakes up, freaked the fuck out.
Carl just wakes up like, oh, and I'm like, this seems to be a theme in this thing. Carl just keeps waking up. And like It's like whenever they write themselves into a corner, they just have him wake up. And did it happen? Who
Maybe
knows?
he'll wake up and not be in this film
And then
anymore.
Carl gets up and she's asleep. Mm-hmm. She's got her boobies out. And
She does have her boobies out. She's in a very nice white room filled with candles, which you should never leave on. It's like a room full of candles. It's a very nice room. She looks very comfortable in her bed while he's sleeping on a half mattress on the floor.
He's sleeping on a bed, on a bed of nails.
So he starts going through all of her
he
books.
picks up a random book and opens to a random page, and it just happens to be stuff on this page about his particular problem.
That's convenient.
And it's exactly like, and he reads it out. It's like, once a Mr. Satanist finds someone he's chosen, he will mark him with an upside down cross, and then the person has until midnight.
He needs to reclaim his soul before sunrise or die.
And I'm like, okay, cool. It's lucky you opened to that one page of that one, and there's millions of books everywhere.
Yeah.
She's like a library.
She is a library.
Carl goes for a piss.
He
He's
does.
like, I need a wee. And he she's set up a barrier, like a what are they called? Like little drawings on the ground with some candles so the evil can't get in. She mentions that earlier. But Carl just goes on, kicks the candles out the way and goes for a piss.
Yeah.
Go for a slash, mate.
He's like, I don't care. I gotta pee.
Gotta pee. And
So
then, of course,
demon.
shit goes down. We hear demons. She wakes up. She's like, oh, fuck, you kicked my candles over. Let's get out. So they bail. They bail out the fire escape. They go down to the road. And lo and behold, we look back up and we see a demon coming down the side of the building. And this looks okay.
Looks okay.
It's kind of like an elongated black figure running down the side of the building. And because it's dark and we can't see much, it passes as okay.
Yeah.
Which is what you should always do with bad CG. Just put smoke in front of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Just hide it as best you can.
yeah.
So they rock up to a titty bar.
There you go to a bar. Why not?
Carl's downing a bunch of shots.
Carl smashes 4 shots in one scene, and he's like, I'm over this.
Pretty much. And she starts explaining, like, you have to destroy the altar. And she's
And
like...
the altar is
So the altar is
Mr.
where...
Satan.
Well, Mr. Satan would have an altar. So there would be a...
But I thought they started calling him the altar.
He might be the altar.
I thought he's the altar. Doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. And she's like, so what'd your brother say? He's like, what? He's like, what'd your brother say in your dream? He's like, oh, it doesn't matter. So they start talking about his dream. And he's basically just closed himself off. He's like, I don't believe in any of this. This is all silly. It's all fallacy. Whatever. He's like, there's only one rational option. Steal a car.
Yeah.
So they steal a car and
It's still
they're
like a
going to
Volvo
go...
or something.
Yeah.
And then they go, and then their whole vibe is like, let's go find fucking Mr. Satan. So they go back, they drive to where Carl originally got kidnapped from.
Mm-hmm. They're starting to have a little bit of fun together.
It's
now,
kind of a bit Scooby-Doo now.
Yeah,
they're like,
starting to like warm up to each other and
solve the mystery,
Yeah.
cruise around. So Carl's like, let's break into this place. And while Carl's trying to break in, a demon, a goon, we can only call them goons.
Tweedle dumbass.
An early 90s dressed up goon grabs the urban witch, pulls her back, which
Very
her name's
quietly.
Benny. Which
Her
we've
name
never-
is Benny.
Yeah, Benny the witch.
Yep.
Pulls her back and then like tries to grab Carl from behind and tries to inject him up with heroin again. But
He gets kicked in the dick.
he gets kicked in the dick.
He gets kicked in
He
the
gets
dick by
got a-
Pink.
Oh, is that Pink?
It was Pink. Yeah, the girl. She kind of just sort of
So
stepped in.
imagine like an early 90s Pink
Yeah, she-
attacking Carl Urban.
Kicks him in the dick. But somehow Benny manages to get back and just beat the living shit out
She
of her.
finds a 2x4.
With a 2x4.
She actually she gets a 2x4 and then she basically just beats this girl up over and over and over. She crunches her to death.
Yeah.
She murders
Off screen.
Pink off
We don't
screen.
see it. It's fine. But they start walking through the building.
They break in.
They go to the room where he was chained up. The floor has been fixed. Then they hear something's coming.
Very wait, yeah, why would if they're that studious and fix the floor, why would they have chainsawed it up in the first place?
I don't know.
But-
They got a lot of 2x4s. They could do whatever the fuck they want.
And then they hear noise and a bunch of Satanists rock up with Mr. Satan. They do some shit and then they leave. And this just gives them an opportunity to follow them to wherever they're going now.
So they all,
So Carl and Scarlet Witch get in the car. And they follow the Satanists to
a greenhouse?
I'd call it a big botanical greenhouse.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
It's like the conservatory we've got in Adelaide.
Yes, it looks nice. I'd like to be there. That would be great.
And they rock up, and lo and behold, so they follow the Satanists. These Satanist guys can they can sense everything. I'm surprised they didn't see him. And lo and behold, who's there?
Who?
with the Satanist who
Yep.
meets them
Who-
is Carl's girlfriend.
What? She's dead.
Oh, she's supposed to be dead. Isn't she? So
She's not dead.
she's in with him.
Fucking hell. Of course she is. Couldn't trust her to begin with.
So he's like, oh, fuck.
He's really pissed. But I like the little bit, like, they cut to the car and just Benny, the urban witch, she's in the car. She's like, she's a zombie, she's a zombie, she's a zombie, she's a zombie. She's just, like, really cool.
But then Carl cracks the shits.
He does.
And he's like, this is bullshit. He goes like, this is all bullshit.
Yeah.
If I'm just fucked up. Like, I'm going to go fucking...
Yeah.
She's with the Satanist. It's all like... So he considers it kind of being now an actual conspiracy that's not happening, that like for some reason she's fucking him over.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know why.
No.
So he goes to Benny, we're over. This is bullshit.
Yeah. He's
And-
like, do you know, the one thing that doesn't make sense is you.
Yeah, so they follow the girlfriend home. She goes into a building, and Carl goes up there, and he decides he's going to confront her.
Yeah. He's so mean to Benny, and I was just like, she has been nothing but a delight
I like
to
the
you.
bit, though, where he just rocks up. He goes, hey, how you going? As if, like, nothing's been happening.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, what
Yeah.
are you doing here?
She's like having a wine upstairs, and he walks in, and he's just like opens the fridge, pulls out some water. He's like, sup? Just nods at her.
and she's
She's
like,
just like, what?
she goes, like, where have you been? And he goes, don't fucking play dumb with me. I saw you as a Satanism, Mr. Satan. And she's like, and then he starts, like, being all mean to her and yelling. She runs into the bathroom. He chases her down, like, and then, like, she, like, suddenly... She goes like, you've been on a fucking drug binge the whole time. And she tips out a bag and it's full of like heroin needles and
Yep.
shit. She goes like, and it's a pretty convincing scene that like,
It
you're like,
is.
oh, it fully could be that he is just a fucking drug addicted dude. And he's been on like a like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas drug binge.
Very much so. So she basically sits down with him, and she starts talking to him about like, this is what has happened and this is what has happened. And he's like crying.
They're
like,
having a moment.
because he's like,
and then you're like, oh, this could be
this
actually.
could be it. Like, she's like, demons are a metaphor for fear and guilt, and this is
She
what
actually
you're
makes him
chasing.
say it because he's a
Yeah.
demonologist.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, and so he's just like, oh, am I crazy?
No, she's just gone down a wormhole binge and that. And he's like, oh, fuck, this is bullshit. I need to sleep again.
Yep. So she tucks him into bed and leaves the room. But as she walks out, she's like, where's Benny? And he kind of
Benny the
clicks.
witch.
He's
She goes
like,
like,
I never mentioned Benny.
oh, I never mentioned her. How
So
the fuck? And then all of a sudden, some Satan goons
Oh,
grab Carl
Yep.
and they pin him to the bed. And with some satin sheets. It's getting
yeah.
sexy.
A lot of satin.
So at this point, there's like Mr. Satanist, who's the bald man with a beard, and there's another Satanist in this scene who's a bald man with a beard, which has some like piercings, which I thought was the same character for the whole film because they haven't been in a scene together.
That's fair. That is completely and utterly fair. Yep.
And Mr. Satanist monologues about how dumb everyone is, and then like his girlfriend comes in, and Mr. Satanist kisses the girlfriend
It's
just to
gross.
rub it in,
But I do like how Carl's like, what's that spell? It's the shit that's dribbling from your mouth.
Yeah, so Carl, like, he's not scared at this point. He's just, like, pissed off and giving some sass talk back to Mr. Satanist.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I like a sassy Carl Urban.
But
They
then
start chanting.
yeah, Mr. Satanist dumps a whole bunch of cockroaches into Carl's mouth. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they have eons of knowledge. They will talk to you and fucking whatever. And then Carl's like, oh, this is bullshit.
He sits there for a pretty long time like that, though. He
real
does
co-
well.
Yeah.
They seemed real.
And then Carl can't move. He's paralyzed for some reason. I think the cockroaches put a spell on him.
Yes.
And then Mr. Satan fists Carl's chest.
he really does it. This looked cool as well. So it starts with like, because every Satanist man has super long nails.
He has a coke nail.
He's got coke nails, yeah. So he basically starts to dig them into his chest, and
Which
then
look very real.
so it starts as like a couple of fingers, then a fist, then his
A
arm,
couple of fingers, more fingers, and a fist. That's how it goes.
then yeah. You got to start out slow.
Yeah. Got to work your Carl's stomach, get it to relax so you can
do.
get your fist in.
That's exactly right. Otherwise,
Anyway, he
Yep.
pulls out Carl's heart.
what?
And then Carl's fine. He looks down, his chest is back to normal.
Yep.
It's very Temple of Doom.
It is.
So
Yes.
Carl's fine. So that is his soul is encapsulated in his heart. So this is the moment where now Carl has until morning Is it until morning?
He has until sunrise.
He has
Yes.
until sunrise to get his heart back,
Or he dies.
or he dies. And if he dies, then Mr. Satan gets his soul and gets some, gets
All
some,
the power and knowledge that he apparently has.
yeah, or again.
Apparently. So they all leave. They all piss off. But Benny is somehow waiting downstairs. And she kind of
Yeah,
sneaks in.
because it's a building with a lock, so she can't get in. So when the
Yeah.
Satanist leaves, she jumps in.
Yeah.
And then Witch Benny takes Cal home,
She takes him back to her house.
paints him up with a bunch of glyphs on his
Yep,
chest.
Symbols. And...
He's like Doom save points.
Yeah. That's what I thought it was. I'm like, this is in Doom, right?
Yeah.
And then they
So
fuck.
this, this is just the origin of Doom Guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Whoa.
It's all tied into
I
the
would like Carl Urban to be Doomslayer.
Actually, he kind of looks like him, like when you see the Doomslayer in his mask.
Yeah.
That could be Carl Urban.
I'm okay
I mean,
with
he's
it.
been Judge Dredd.
He did a good job as that.
Yeah, you never saw
yeah.
It's really weird they choose Carl Urban. We were just talking about how he's got a weak chin, but
He does.
Judge Dredd is all chin.
He is nothing but chin.
But he seemed to have a big chin.
He
and
did. He had maybe some
he's
chin
a really good
extensions.
actor. He can act his
That's
chin.
right.
Until,
His chin was acting its heart out.
it's just like he's an actor.
Acting.
Remember that in Team America when acting was the most powerful weapon that someone could have?
Well, it's like what's his name, Captain Picard, and he's just like, you thought I was asleep. Acting.
Anyway, he goes back to Benny's house. She paints some glyphs on him. They have some sex.
They
Sure,
do.
why not?
He's got no heart, but he's got stamina.
And then she tries to give him her heart. He's like, nah, and he has a dream. I forgot about this.
He
Because he
does.
goes to bed again.
He
goes
does.
to sleep.
There's a lot of sleeping in this
That's what I
one
said.
really fucking long night.
Yeah, so Carl goes, instead of going to get his heart straight away because they've only got till sunrise, Carl has a snooze.
He does.
His brother tells him that he has a hidden power.
Yeah.
His brother's in his dream.
Yeah.
They're in like a very New Zealander like staircase, those outdoor staircases they have
Yes.
that are concrete.
Yeah.
And he just goes like, oh, you've got a hidden power, Carl.
And they want it.
And they want it. That's why they're fucking with you. And this is where he is, and points to a house. So now we know where Mr. Satanist is. So Carl wakes up.
He does. He wakes up and he's like, oh, nothing.
We got to drive to this house. And because Benny's like, I'll give you my heart. And he's, nah, don't need to do that. We'll drive to this place.
Yeah, I'll get my own fucking heart back.
My
Thanks,
brother
love.
told me where it is. Let's go drive. Anyhow, they get there. Scarlet Witch now has like a machete.
Oh, she got a fucking huge. Like, where did you get that from?
At first, I thought she had a machete and a gun, but then later on, it shows that the gun is just a torch.
Yeah.
But it's a gun-shaped torch. I'm
Yeah.
very weird.
I like
Anyhow,
that.
they split up because that's a great idea.
I'd like to just take a moment to appreciate the fact that she's rocked up in a silk negligee that does not cover her ass, and he's rocked up in a silk shirt.
It's not a silk shirt. It's like a silver shirt.
I don't know. I think it's like
Because it's like hard. It's like a raving silver
Really?
shirt, I thought.
It's hideous.
Anyhow, he's in a spaceman outfit.
He is. He looks like a dickhead.
They split up.
Yeah.
Witchy, she finds Mr. Satan. He's in some big stone room that's full of blood in front of an altar. He's doing some praying with the heart. He's got the heart. He's like, Kalaman! What's that thing out of Temple of Doom? What does he
Oh
say?
yeah, Kalima.
So he's basically doing some ritual with the heart or some shit.
Yeah.
Mr. Satanist turns around
And
to reveal a powerful beer belly. Like he wasn't fit.
didn't even notice that.
So he's covered in blood. So he's got his shirt off as well. He's got his beer belly. It's too powerful to look at. And Benny crumbles to the ground.
She does.
She's like, such a beer belly cannot be tamed. Cannot cut beer belly with machete.
No match for the beer belly.
So she crumbles.
Yep.
And just falls. Because he just like says, "Oh, you're shit. You came back. Yeah, you fucked off. Now you're back. You're shit." And she's just like,
It's like, you were
I
my
think
protege. He's pretty disappointed because she belonged to their cult and she bailed.
and that's
she
it.
was
Yeah.
having no more of that.
So this is in the last 5 minutes of this film. Now we are. So
Yeah.
like Benny's has fallen. The heart's there. Beer belly. And our Carl rocks up.
Well,
oh no!
yeah,
That first,
'cause-
there's a goon comes in and grabs Benny fucking Scarlet Witch from
Yeah.
behind. And, he's holding her so Mr. Satan can talk to her now, but she's all, like, passed out or some shit.
Yeah.
But then from behind the goon comes Carl with a fucking Bowie knife and sticks the Bowie knife into the top of the bald man's head, which
yeah.
you could clearly see was just behind his head.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Why not?
Yep. Knife to the skull. It looked bad. It's whatever. He's like, I've come for my heart.
You got my heart? I need it.
Yeah.
Come out, and then Mr. Satan's like, what, this heart?
Yeah.
And pulls it out and squeezes it, and Carl's like, my me. Where me heart should be's hurting.
Of course, there's more chanting, some Latin, and then some silk white robes.
But then we realize, hey on, hasn't Carl got some sort of power? And Carl's like, you know what? I don't know. This is where this shit jumps the shark. I have no idea what happens here.
Yeah.
So Carl all of a sudden grabs, he's not wearing a shirt. No, he's wearing the silver shirt, but the silver shirt is open.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like chest in this film and beer bellies and blood. He grabs his chest and pulls his chest open, and it splits open so we can see the inside of him. And it's very Clive Barkery,
Yes.
pulling your chest, your own chest. It's a pretty cool looking scene. I was like, oh, cool. Like, something's going to happen that's going to make sense. Anyhow, Carl reveals that he has a heart now.
Yeah.
But Mr. Satan is there standing with his heart. So the shot goes to Mr. Satan holding the heart.
Yes.
Back to Carl.
Yes.
With a chest full of heart. Then back to Mr. Satan. All of a sudden, the heart's not in his hand.
What?
Shoo-a-loo? Where did it go? Carl does a
don't
sleight
know.
of heart hand. So Carl has now magically whisked his heart back into his chest. This must be his power, that he is just more satanic
Possibly?
than Mr. Satan.
Yeah, he's like, I'm more satanic than you are.
So Carl now has his heart back, and now all of a sudden his chest is sealed back up,
Yes.
and he's fine.
Yes.
And now Benny is with him.
Yes.
All of a sudden,
Yes.
and
then
all of a sudden some chocolate demons rock up. They're brown chocolate, glistening CG messes of demons. They kind of come out the walls and the floors and shit. Mr. Satan's like, "Ha, you're fucked.
you gone down fucked up, Mr. Satan.
Me demons are here. They're gonna rip your dick off, shove it in your mouth, and then I'm gonna sit there and watch and then wank on you."
Pretty much exactly what happened.
But the demons come up to Carl and they're like, "You're alright.
yeah.
You're alright.
You got your soul back.
You got a heart in you.
But
you
we
got
still-
some.
we
Hang on,
need
you
a
got
soul.
power. You got some cool power. I'm not gonna fuck with you. I'm gonna fuck with the beer belly, Mr. Satan."
Because if you make a pact, it's a soul for power from a demon. So you need to deliver that soul. If you do not deliver that soul, then
what happened?
the demon will
I
come
just
and
thought
take
that his
your soul.
power was that he had a lot of like pull and a lot of influence in the demon world. So they look at him and go, "No, we worship you."
Well, I think he was trying to portray that he was a demon, but as a Satanist, because this concept, it was also in The Conjuring, the latest Conjuring film. So if you are trying to get a demon to do your bidding, you are promising a demon a sacrifice of a soul, which means that's where Carl comes in. But if this dickhead can't deliver Carl's soul, the demon's going to take his soul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just thought it was because they've talked about this power. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, the demons all walk up to Mr. Satan. He's like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah.
He starts to panic and they rip him up. They rip his arm off.
Limb from limb.
At one point I thought there was like Mr. Satan was like stop motion. Did you see there was a weird frame rate that was happening there?
There was a lot of weird.
And now the CG mess demons, these things look like they're just overlaid onto the thing. They don't look like they exist in the world at all. They're pretty bad. They look like they're floating in the air. They're not. And they rip him up. And then that's it. We're like, yay, success. And then all of a sudden, like, something like it should have had 2 weeks later or something like that. Carl is in like some sort of institution or jail or a cell. And we got the 2 fucking turkey cops from before. And they're grilling him.
They're interrogating him.
And they they show a picture of Mr. Satan. They put it down. He's like, "You fucking murdered this, mate." And apparently you're in cahoots with his daughter. So Scarlet Witch was Mr. Satan's daughter. And apparently she's like, a couple of other times she's tried to get men to like get on her fucking thing. So one thing these cops is don't believe him.
Yeah, well, of course. So
he's
they're
murdered-
basically saying that, she is estranged from her dad. He had cancer, so this is what he looked like before the cancer. This is why he looks like he looks now, because it's cancer.
Cancer.
And
But like, you clearly murdered these people.
Yeah.
But we can't touch you as police because you're in a mental institution.
Yep.
And then suddenly the girlfriend rocks up, as in
girlfriend.
the lawyer, and she's representing Carl. So she comes in, everyone has to leave. And then Carl's just kind of sitting there. He's just like, he's gone crazy.
He's pretty much just had about enough of all he can take. He's like, well, I'm fucked.
Yeah, I'm a crazy man. I'm going to embrace the craziness.
Yeah, sometimes.
She comes in, and when everyone leaves, she's like, "Oh, you're powerful. you're the real Satanist. I want to be on your team. And he's like, you're a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
Get out.
Pretty much. He's like, you disgust me.
And then girlfriend leaves, and as she's leaving, she looks around and goes, you know what? I killed your brother. And I'm like, boom, boom, boom. Days of our lives twist. So the girlfriend killed the brother the whole time.
That's fucked.
And then Carl's like, fuck. Yeah.
He's not happy at all. But we cut to an actual mental facility.
Yeah.
It's a nice little outdoorsy cabin kind of thing.
And Carl's in like the mental institution garb.
Yeah.
The robes.
It's all white.
And there's all a bunch of other people out there. So they're kind of on the grounds. They've got their daily walk around in the garden.
Yeah.
And we see Witchy is there. She is also in the same garb.
They're living their best life together.
They are. They've both so now Carl is very much acts like Witchy.
Yeah, so he's on her level now. So this is kind of
because they realise they know.
Yeah, because I don't think if this film was to go off into whatever, they wouldn't work as a couple because he's normal.
Yeah. So they kind of talk. There's some banter where they talk about another person about one of the other inmates is in with aliens, and they have a laugh. So it's showing that they're unhinged, both of them now. But then Carl's like, hey, look at this thing that I... So we're supposed to... At that point, we're supposed to believe that he's just fucking crazy.
Yep.
But Carl picks up a big fucking New Zealand bug.
Yeah.
What are they called? The wetters.
Yeah.
The wetter workshop that's there.
Yes.
So the big wetter bug is dead on the... I don't know how they did this. I reckon they just froze it. It might be one of those bugs that snoozes when it gets cold.
Quite possibly, yeah.
So this is a dead bug in his hand. He goes, look at this thing I've worked out I can do. And then all of a sudden, the bug comes back to life in one shot in his hand and wakes up and fucks off. So you're like, oh, he does have power.
Yep.
And that's the end of that scene.
That's it, yeah.
Then we cut to the ultimate scene of confusion. So lawyer girlfriend, she's leaving the mental institution. She gets in her car. She looks in her rear vision mirror, and lo and behold, holy shit, there is a zombie version of Carl's brother in the back seat that jumps and attacks her. And I'm like, cut to credits. And I'm like, wait up. Why was he flesh and blood?
What?
Was it because Carl freed him that he gets to come back as a zombie demon?
Maybe.
Because he should be a ghost in my thing. So
yeah.
Final thoughts. So I thought this movie was okay up until the last 5 minutes. I was interested. I was like, there were bits and pieces that were there wasn't enough violence, but there were bits and pieces that made me feel like it was a Scooby-Doo romp of who done it? Is he really crazy? But
this would have worked. I really liked the concept of this film.
I love the characters as well.
But the execution was not
there.
Great. All the CG was a mess. We had very, very minimal gore and barely any violence. But I mean, I like a noir. I like a mystery. I like a horror noir.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to do, that film, The Game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that kind of... It had that feelings of that halfway through it, that, was everything just fucking with him? Or was it really happening? Or was someone just tricking him? And I really enjoyed those aspects of the film.
Yeah.
It's just when the CG demons came in, mate. I was like, tap out.
You know I like a Satanist. You know I like a cult.
I enjoyed the cold aspects of it.
You've got elements there that I was really interested in, but it just wasn't enough to for me to be like, this is a great film. But this is one of those films where I always remember the poster. So I always remember the DVD cover because I never watched it, but it was always one that was oh, you always pick it up at the video shop going, oh, this looks really cool. Wait, I looked at this one last week. No, I'm not going to watch it.
Wait up, Carl Urban.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean... It's kind of one of those movies that you feel like they would modify out 2 scenes and put it as a midday movie.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
It felt like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode.
Oh, did it?
Just a very long one.
So yeah, but I actually, I did not, well, coincidentally, like I said to you, I had just had my second Pfizer.
Yeah.
You say it?
Your Pfizer.
Pfizer, my second jab for COVID. And I actually had a fever coming on. So this is the second time I've watched this film in my life, and both times I've had a fever. Isn't that weird?
Something going on there.
So it may have made my experience, enhanced my fear a bit more, but I did feel uneasy in some of the scenes. I think the scenes of where every scene that involved his girlfriend was good. As in the bit where she's chained up and the thing, and the bit where she gets her cutthroat, and the bit where she's says he's a drug addict and all that shit was really cool.
Oh, there were some really good elements to this film, but...
And it was shot beautifully.
Yeah.
You can't go past the filming was great. The CG was fucking like... I know. It was it's like, you know, first term film school stuff. Like, first day on the job. Here's how you use Studio Pro or whatever it's called. Here's Maya with some pre-made demons. We're just going to superimpose them over shit.
Very much. I mean, what did you give it?
I just get a little W. Pfft, whatever.
Yeah, look, that's exactly what I gave it because I didn't really want to give it a Kesha. I don't know what the budget was.
Well, I don't think it was a low... It might have been a low budget Hot Mess. I feel it had more budget than Bad Boy Bubby.
Quite probably. But it also wasn't quite McConaughey, although it was skating a fine line.
I don't reckon it was... It had too many good scenes in it to make it a McConaughey.
Yeah.
Like, it... Is it worth watching? Like, if you hadn't watched this, would you recommend someone to watch it?
No.
What would you give them instead to watch, which is a better Satan film, which involves a satanic cult? Do you have any of them under your up your sleeve?
No, because the only thing that's coming to mind is the recent Conjuring film.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, but I'm trying to think of a better Satanist cult movie. It's weird.
Rosemary's Baby.
Is that a cult movie?
Yeah, Satanist cults, you know.
I think there's a real gap in the horror market for a good satanistic cult film, like a real good high budget one that's like, because that if there's elements in this film of scariness, like the idea of a cult that has like a lot of pull and influence that can fuck you over and needs to torment you to get your soul, and like I feel it had a very Jacob's Ladder feeling to it at some point. So I'm like, there's a missed opportunity here that someone hasn't filled.
Yes, we can pose it to our listeners. Let us know of what good satanic cult films there are that you would recommend instead of this film. So I thought for next episode, Spoilercast, we're going to watch Terra Train.
This sounds shit already.
So 1980 Canadian horror starring Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, yeah. Getting her in.
It's spoiler alert, it's set on a train.
Ooh.
Yep.
Terror Train. Now, I got to ask him one question about it. Is it set in reality or is it like a monstery made up thing?
No, it's a slasher. It's an 80s slasher.
So it's reality.
Yes.
Is it supernatural? Yeah, I mean the slasher. There's no elements of supernatural in this whole film.
Possibly not.
Oh, you dickhead!
What, you want some more supernatural stuff?
Yeah, I don't like real things. I hate gore porn. This is a slasher. Yeah, you're right.
From the 80s.
Yeah.
80s slasher.
Okay.
Yeah. This isn't Hostel. I'm not making you watch Hostel.
Good.
Or Cannibal Holocaust.
Cannibal Holocaust.
We're watching Terra
I've
Train.
watched that before. That was boring.
Cannibal Holocaust?
Yeah.
Oh, I made Bryn watch that.
You did a PhD on it.
No, I didn't do my PhD, but I did write a very lengthy mini thesis on it. Indeed. Mini thesis. Now I work retail. Anyway, you have been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We are available on all major podcasting services and also on the YouTube. But no matter where you choose to consume us, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment or a review, and make sure you share with all your friends. You can interact with us on both Facebook and Instagram at TerrorVision Pod. It'll keep you up to date with upcoming episodes, trivia, and of course memes that are definitely 3 years old by now. We also have an email, terrorvisionpod@gmail.com, if you want to contact us that way.
And remember, until next week, may all your dreams
be nightmares.